I shall share with you again a few of my mares, a bit of the darker side of dreams and imaginings. So, to begin, I was in a household, small, particularly like a hut, like something you would see maybe in the middle of the woods on top of a hill. And it was in this hut, in this shack. When I went inside, it began to expand, and there were hundreds of rooms, hallways stretching forth and back. And as I was looking at the different avenues that stretched on for, a few children appeared. It was 2 girls and 3 boys. They were playing around me, and they were nice, and they were inviting me to play with them, to join them, as they danced and gambled and skipped, and played all kinds of little games. I would go outside with them for a time, where we would play with balls, throw them around. We'd play different sports and exercise. And I had a riotous time with them. And then we went down to a stream and enjoyed ourselves as we bathed in the waters. And then we jumped out of the trees back into the river, and we swam. The day was gay and the sun was all throughout it. Eventually we returned to the shack, to the hut, and we're still happy, we're still glad. And as we're enjoying ourselves, I start to notice there is a shadow. There is a shade that in the corners of the eyes, in the peripherals, continues to dwell. It moves and skulks about. A shadow, a shade, some kind of wraith that continues to move, as if 2D, as if it does not want to pierce into the scene and reveal its true form. And this shade, I know, dwells among the children. It does not care for me, it does not touch me. It does not jump into my own shadow, but it jumps into theirs. It leaps, almost like a frog, between the shadows of the children. It follows them. It stalks after them. And I notice this, and as time goes on, I play less and less with the children. My face turns from gladness and a constant smile to worry and angst and to a frown, as I do not know what this shadow wants, what it desires with the children that I am beside. And it continues to jump as the day continues, as this endless day continues. It keeps jumping about. It jumps away from them and goes into the walls, goes into a crack, and it jumps back out. And it continues to do this. And as I keep seeing this, I grow more and more worried, more and more melancholic. And I feel myself bubbling with an anger, because I fear. I'm filled with the deep dread of what's going to happen to these children, of what this shade wants. And then, whenever I'm not noticing, whenever one of the children splits from us for a moment, the child is gone. As in one of the rooms that I enter, I find a little boy's body, completely desiccated and torn apart, as if all of the ichor of the boy had been seeped out of it, and then, just for added effect, the body was pulled apart. And the shade had done this. For I noticed in the light that entered the room through a window that the shadow of the child was gone, that it had no shadow. And this thing had done this, and I could do nothing against it. Again, this monster. I was helpless, even though I wanted to protect these children. And all I could do was grab the children, was tell them, come with me. And we ran. And we went out of the hut and into the wider world. It was dark. There were no stars. There was no moon. There was no lights of any kind. It was pure and utter darkness. And then I knew that the shade had grown. It was not just some things skulking about. It was the darkness. And now for the second dream. Related, and in fact, it happened the very same night. This dream was a little more complex. It started off rather strangely. I was inside of an apartment complex, in an apartment that was my own, and I was with a woman that I adore, that is precious to me. And we were having something of a scene of getting up in the morning and enjoying a coffee, a delicious breakfast together, the happiness of married life. And I found out through her that I was a detective, and that I was involved in some case to find out where some human traffickers were located, and to stop them, to capture them. I went out to work that day, after the goodbye, and after the kiss, and after the goodness. I went out, and things began to change. The scene, the nature that was around me, the streets, they were oblong and misshapen. They were discolored. They were not black and gray or some obscuring hue. In fact, they were rather radiant purples and greens, but it almost looked like everything was burnt with radiant and coruscating colors, as if these colors were completely and utterly unnatural. But I paid no mind to that. As I went to my job, and I, with a team of some sort, of some police team, we went out to a space, great park, stretched. It had a huge building, this building that was pipes and cubes all stacked wrongly and misshapenly. And we saw, strewn about us, people that were bound and shackled, and that were laying upon the ground as if they were waiting to be executed. And we found these traffickers who were just talking, and we snuck up on them and arrested them, and we began to free these people. But I knew that in that building, in that great construction, I had to go in there. And there were possibly more people in there. And when I entered that building, at first it was like entering a basement, full of pipes, full of cement, almost empty. And as I ambled about, eventually I found the people. They were inside of a cage, and suddenly I heard gunshots going about everywhere. I started to fire back at things that I could not see, and I shot the lock of the cage. There were two women, one man, and a child. And we began to run. I began to dart and speed off with all celerity. Began to move and move and move. And I tried to guide them. But one man wanted to go down. He thought, oh, I saw something. We could get out this way. And we go down. And we go down and down and down these stairs that as these stairs continue to descend, they warp and change and they go into directions that end in nowhere. We go into basements and levels beneath the earth that we completely lost him. And then one man says, no, we're going the wrong way. We need to go upward. We go up. And up and up and up and up. And again, warping and shifting and zigzagging hallways and staircases that go to nowhere. And we go outside and we start to see cityscapes and landscapes of all kinds and breeds strewn out before us. But we have not left the building. And finally I say, no, we must go this way. And I guide them until we find a bridge. And at this bridge, the two men and the woman cross. And the child is behind me. And as I begin to cross, the child appears before me. It looks like a shadow, like a face I can scantly remember. And then the bridge twists. It wraps around. It becomes a double helix, and I am caught in it like in a net. I'm almost half melted with the wood of the bridge. And I'm looking forward at this child, at this thing that is floating before me. And as if it was scarred with shade, it tells me, remember me. And then I woke up.